You're listening to Drop the Gloves, live from the cave, with Jason Easton and Scotty Lalonde.
Into another episode here of Drop the Gloves. Again, Scotty Lalonde alongside Jason Easton. Oh, it's been a while since we've been on here, and so much to talk about, so much going on. You just arrived here in the cave a few minutes ago. We were just shooting the breeze about whatever. And I was telling a story one time, just to recap, when I was producing the Mix 97 Beach Party, okay? At the time, Sean Kelly and Norlena Kane were the hosts. We were down south. I forget what resort we're at. Doesn't matter. Anyways, I took a listener aside, got talking to him, and it turns out he's a detective back in the day when he was active and working and whatever. And I just flat out asked him, when you're talking to these bad people, did you ever ask the question, why do they do what they do? And he says, yeah, a lot of the times that's the only thing I knew from when I was a kid. Like he did a case one time where he found someone hanging in the closet, and it turns out that's what his dad did to him. So that's kind of why he did it. I guess he felt the need to provoke pain onto someone else. But I mean, like in your profession, Jason Easton alongside me here in the cave, who owns Easton Law, you're a criminal lawyer and you defend bad guys. I mean, do you ask your guys the same question, or girls?
Yeah, it's the odd thing about, I don't know, it's what has always fascinated me about my job and the experience I've had with criminal law and crime is that every type of crime is different, kind of fits a different mold. So the child abuse, sexual abuse, those types of crimes are the thing that I always found odd is how it perpetuates itself. It's a constant cycle from generation to generation, right? Usually the abusers are abuse victims themselves, right? And so being a victim of abuse often, not always, leads to that person growing up to become an abuser, which leads to that victim becoming an abuser, and this cycle perpetuates itself. And it's weird because you would think it would be the opposite, right? Like you're abused and you'd say, oh, I'm never going to do that to another person. But for some reason, it seems to perpetuate and it continues from generation to generation. And it's hard to break that cycle. It's really hard to break that cycle. And it's not only an individual problem, but a societal one in all different types of abuse, right?
Yeah, and I mean, again, today's society, touched on it there. It's so sad the way things are going. You and I are both Back to the Future fans, and I said after COVID, I feel that we're living in this Back to the Future. Remember in
the alternative 1985,
in the alternative 1985, and it's just a recurring nightmare. It's only getting worse and worse, and we're all just kind of hoping, Jay, that things would get back to normal, or
we're living in Biff's casino world, right?
Yeah.
We even have a president. The president looks like Biff,
and we just can't afford it. And the guy's getting richer and richer. And maybe Donald Trump is Biff. I don't know, Frank.
Kind of looks like Biff, but
yeah, I guess.
But
so.
Crime is such a funny thing because, like I said, every category of crime seems to fit a different mold. Like the drug dealers, they tend to fit the mold of being poor, right, and trying to supplement their income. So the low level, like street level dealers or mid level dealers, are more often than not guys who can't get a job doing anything else, either because they have a criminal record, or lack the skills, or have some kind of disability, or simply just can't find work, but still have kids, families, and bills to pay, rent to pay, and they supplement that income by selling drugs, right? And so that gets even worse when the economy gets bad and people are struggling to put food on the table. And so most drug dealer clients that I've had are actually pretty decent people. And, explain it in kind of a simple business-like fashion, right? Like, why do you sell drugs? Because I got to feed my family.
Yeah, I was just going to say, because you hit that nail on the head. And we're all trying to do the same thing at the end of the day, is we're trying to take care of our family.
Right.
That's it. The only way that we know how. And some people do it the easy way by selling drugs, right? And they keep doing it for as long as they can get away with. And our criminal system, nothing against you or whatever. I mean, you're mandated by the province. Maybe you're mandated by the federal government as well to do certain things or say certain things. The same with the police. There's only so much they can do on the streets. Otherwise those homeless people would be gone by now. But those homeless people that are over by City Hall here in Belleville, they have rights. It is unconstitutional to remove them from the sidewalk because
there's also a lack of just basic resources. There's nowhere to put people. Like, if you want to lock people up because of crime, like, fine. Like, you can justify that. Like, you did the crime, you did the time. I get it. But you got to find a place to put people. And right now, like, the jails where they're sticking people are the same jails that were built 30 years ago when the population was, 25-30% less than it is today. They haven't expanded to keep up with basic population growth. So it's hard on police officers, it's hard on judges and crown attorneys and defense and all participants of the justice system, including society at large, because they're running out of place to put people and they run out of resources.
So in an emergency situation, where do people mainly go? They go to an arena or they go to a school.
Right.
My point is, for many years, I've said that old schools, and we have one here in Belleville, Quinny Secondary School, there's nothing happening with that building right now. And maybe there's whatever in the walls, or maybe the ventilation system needs upgrading. Okay, well, let's do that. Let's put our tax dollars to good use, okay? The OLG just bought us a brand new snow machine for the city of Belleville to make sure that our streets are clean. Right? But we paid for that. Okay, so let's clean up Quinny Secondary School and put these homeless people in there for now.
Well, you also just purchased a armored vehicle for the local police service as well. Do you know how much you just paid for that? I'm not a Belleville taxpayer, so I didn't pay anything for it, but you guys just bought a very expensive piece of equipment for your local constabulary, right?
Yeah, so and that's great, but okay, and maybe we need that. Maybe our machines are breaking down, right? But again, would it not make sense to me to get these people off the street into a functioning building?
You know your biggest problem with those?
And they're trying to fix up the Alhambra Hall, and it just seems to be taking.
Have you ever heard of the NIMBY problem?
No.
NIMBY, not in my backyard. The biggest problem with dealing with homelessness or drug treatment or developing these resources isn't lack of space, lack of money, or lack of political will, but it's people. Nobody wants it in their neighborhood, right? Everybody says that I want a treatment center and we need centers for people with mental health issues and substance abuse issues, but that's great, but nobody wants it in their neighborhood, right? There isn't one in this neighborhood. If your neighbors next door, their house was bought up by the city and they decide to make it a drug treatment facility or a facility for homeless people, you might not like that, right? And so that's typically the wall that they end up crashing up against is, this public resistance to people in that neighborhood not wanting it to exist there. So that's part and parcel of the problem of trying to deal with these issues.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with them, but it's never going to get any better. Yeah, we talked about criminals. We talked about quickly homeless people. What we should do is get out of town one of these days and take one of these guys aside that are willing to tell their story and find out how they became homeless, because I'm sure, whatever happened to them years ago was catastrophic.
Yes, and one of the voices that gets ignored the most are the people themselves, right, who are in these situations, like whether it's homelessness or criminals, and you should not combine the two that easily, but you got to listen to why they're in the situation they're in, because the most insightful, intelligent voices of all are the ones who are experiencing it, right?
Yeah. It's just wild. It's sad. And
there's a lot of people that are living in tents right now, in cars and on people's couch, because you can't forget, living on somebody's couch is homelessness as well, right? Just because you have a roof over your head that night doesn't mean you are not homeless, right? So there's a huge portion of the population which is homeless but invisible to our eyes because we don't see them on the street necessarily. But the rate of homelessness, people don't have secure residence of their own, is staggering. Mm-hmm. It's staggering. Like they can't even measure. Like there's no way of even knowing what that number is, right? But it's far greater than what you see on the street.
Yeah, not only on the streets too, but in truck stops. If you're going up and down the 401, you may stop at the Flying J and see a bunch of trucks there, or at the 10 Acre here in Belleville. Ask a lot of those truck drivers, do they actually have a home? Are they homeless? Is their truck their home? And nowadays you can outfit a whole truck pretty much like your home. You have your bed in there, you have your fridge, and have everything that you can do to survive, right? And they're transporting goods at the same time. It's crossed my mind once or twice, because that's pretty cost effective if you ask me. I mean, where we live right now, we're struggling. We're house poor. We have a beautiful house and we have big taxes. We are in a safe neighborhood. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to that life. We could choose to live where we used to live, and, it was a high traffic footbridge, and, a lot of bad stuff went on around that neighborhood. And it's not even a thought, not even an afterthought up here where we are now. So, I feel good where we are. This is a safe environment for my children. They bored. There's not a lot of
just
kids their age.
Grateful for what you got. You got a roof over your head today, and you're gonna have one tomorrow, right?
Yeah, you're right.
You ate today, you're gonna eat tomorrow. So
yeah,
that's what you have to be thankful for. And it's sad that we're at the point in our society right now where you have to talk like that, because like that used to be a given not that long ago. Here's something interesting that I heard recently. My sister-in-law works in a dental office, and she was telling us not that long ago that there's an entire family of people that live in their car. Yeah. That's local, like that's here, a family. Wow. That's insane in Canada. Yeah. In 2025. Yeah. And that's not uncommon. Like if that's one family, how many else are out there, right? And that again leads to crime, because when you're surviving, you don't give a shit about whether you're legal or not, right? If you're desperate, and it doesn't matter who you are, like you can look down on people who steal stuff, but if you're broke, you're poor, you're starving, you have no food in your belly, you're gonna steal. Yeah. You're gonna go into Walmart, you can go to a grocery, you are gonna steal. You are. Yeah. Not you might, you will steal. Yeah. Like I've had clients who are really nice people. I had a young woman not that long ago, she's a recurring client, great, she's really nice young woman. Badly struggles with substance abuse and addiction. She doesn't have stable housing because of addictions and mental health issues. And she's told me before that she steals and will continue to steal because the shelters give you a meal once a day. Yeah. And she walks around starving. And so she's stopless, right? And so it's easy to judge people and say, oh, you're a criminal and you're no good, and get these people off the street. And any one of us could be there. And if you are there, you're going to behave the same way that these people that you condemn right now, right? And any of us can end up in that situation. And
are these people that terrifying. Are doing this on a regular basis, though, like, are they trying to get employment? Have you talked to her about that?
Yeah, they are. But, when you get so much stacked against you, and especially when you live in a day and age, because there aren't a lot of jobs out there.
I know, where are you going to work? Walmart? McDonald's?
Right. And if you go to apply...
they do criminal record checks.
Like, even if you go apply to Walmart or Tim Hortons, like, the odds are, if they post a job, they have dozens of people applying for that one job. And if you've got a record, you're done, right? If you've already got...
See, and this goes back to my idea about Quinny Secondary. Let's set up so they can go work there.
The problem is people live across the street in the local neighborhoods. They'll put up a stink, right? And then the city will cave into them. That's the problem that we face. And eventually you just got, somebody's going to have the balls to stand up and just say, listen, it's too bad. We're going to have to put this facility here. We're going to have to do something.
Yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about the retirement home across the road. How can you not miss it on College Street here in Belleville? Those people, oh my God, Jay, what are they paying per month for rent? 4, 5, 6? But, at least maybe.
Well, what else do you do with a facility like that? Do you build it out in a rural area away from everything, and then they can't walk to anything? And establish I don't know. I don't profess to have the answer. I don't know. No, this isn't good.
I mean, every time I turn on Quinny News, there's always something. It's usually a police report. And there's so much of it going on nowadays. It's incredible. On the national scale to the south of us, I don't know. We were just going to talk about whatever tonight, but sad news right before Thanksgiving yesterday, or was it the day before? 2 federal agents were killed.
Washington, yeah.
In Washington, federal agents walking around protecting people doing their job, and I think it might have been an Afghan man and I'm far from racist, but an Afghan man had shot these two point blank.
Do you know what he said just before he did it?
I have no clue.
Allahu Akbar.
What does that mean?
It means God is good. It's a common phrase that they use in Islam. It's an Arabic phrase, yeah. So it's, it's unfortunate, but that's...
And then you have these people that are now blaming the Biden administration for letting these people into the country, right? I don't know how this man got in the country, when he came in the country. I'm sure we're going to find out all those details, like we did with Charlie Kirk shooter.
But terrorism is a different type of crime too. All these different, that's what I mean. Every type of crime fits such a different mold and a different pattern, right? We've been really, really lucky in Canada to have so few acts of terrorism so far. It's really remarkable. You really don't hear it that often in Canada, much like compared to the States or Europe at least. And we've been really lucky so far to have escaped that, right? So I told you I've got one of the most biggest cases that a lawyer can have is a murder case. So I actually have a couple of them on the go right now, and so one that's coming up right now. And though I can't really get too much into detail on that particular one, and murder is also an interesting type of crime as well, because everybody thinks murders are, the worst case.
One word.
It is worst case scenario, but they think murder is the worst person that's on the planet, and it certainly is the worst thing you can do, obviously. But the interesting about murder is most murderers have no criminal record.
I was going to say one word, maybe when it comes down to everything, once you have a decision and blah, blah, blah. And I've watched enough Law and Order to maybe come up with an answer for this one word: jealousy. Big factor. If we're playing Family Feud right now, and that's the question that Steve Harvey's going to ask, I'll bet you that's the number one answer is jealousy. Why do people murder? How can you stick a knife into another human being? How could you pull the trigger and shoot another human being? And it's because of jealousy. Because, maybe your wife cheated on you and you're really angry at that person, so you want to stab that guy multiple times, right? Or burn him alive. That's a little extreme. I watched that in Tulsa King the other day, but
you're right though, because most
I feel I can't do that, and I don't know how another human being can bring themselves to do that. I feel terrible for yelling at my children. Right, and we talk about getting angry and stuff like that, and we know the consequences. I mean, I have a criminal record; it's no secret. But I would go to any extreme to knifing someone.
Not normally, but what's interesting is most murders happen in the domestic context, and most murderers who you talk to after the fact are instantly remorseful, and would tell you. If you sat down with them, and I've sat down with a few murderers.
Yeah, because it happens so fast.
Yes, and almost all of them will say, I wish that had never happened.
Yeah.
I wish I could take that back.
I know.
My God, what did I do?
Yeah.
Because there seems to be something that happens. I think we all have a trigger point.
Yeah.
I think we all have a trigger point, and people have it set at different levels.
I've been to that level. I know exactly what you're talking about.
And if you talk to a lot of people who've been convicted of murder, they'll say, I don't know what overcame me. I don't know what happened in that moment. Yeah. Oh my God, that wasn't me.
It's a blackout moment.
Right.
It's like when we drink tequila or we drink too much booze or whatever. Sometimes we drink ourselves to a blackout. It's the exact same thing. And it's not like golf where we can get a mulligan, and no, you took a human being's life.
Right.
Or whether it's with a weapon or behind the wheel, you took another human's life.
Yeah.
And it creates such a trickle effect for a lot of people involved. Obviously, close family and friends. And,
it destroys a lot of lives, including the lives of the murderer themselves. Because remember, that person who gets convicted of murder, their family lost somebody as well, right? Mm-hmm. If somebody commits a murder, their parents didn't commit the murder. Now they've lost a son or a daughter.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
A brother. And it's tragic for everybody on all sides, right? Nobody feels good about it. The other context, a more common context where murder takes place is, in the context of somebody trying to commit a different crime, but end up killing somebody, like a robbery or a theft, and something goes awry and they go too far and they end up shooting somebody or killing somebody, or a consensual fight that goes too far, right? But in most cases of a murder, people instantly feel remorse, regret, contrition. Because we all think of murder, we think of the TV or the movie, the serial killer or the prolific person who plots out to assassinate or take somebody's life. That's not common. That's very rare. And more often than not, the typical murder case is something that happens, almost in the spur of the moment, very, very little planning ahead of time. And more often than not, instant regret. I had a client years ago. We should actually have him on the show sometime. He's a very interesting guy. Had a client I represented years ago, and I actually became friends with the guy. Still consider him to be a friend, but he was convicted years ago of a murder. Fascinating guy. Did years. Successfully overturned, had it reduced to a manslaughter. But that guy will tell you, like, instantly like that, you're regretful. Oh my God, what did I do? Didn't want to do that. Wasn't something you set out to do, and something takes over in that moment. And but it's fascinating because, like I said, most of the people that are convicted of murder have no criminal record.
Yeah.
Never been involved in the criminal justice system before. And it makes you think, like, do we all have that trigger point? I think we do.
100%.
I think some of us have the threshold set higher than others, but I think any of us who have been in the situation where you find yourself in the term would be blind rage, where you just feel, oh my God, I'm out of control, something else took over in that moment. You could do that, right? Because
let me give you an example. If this were to happen to our own children,
right?
You have children. I have children, and if you were in that vicinity area, and your child's getting hurt, would you not turn Hulk? 100% you would.
Right.
And you would do anything. The only shitty thing is, you just got to really think about the outcome because, of your profession. But perhaps in the heat of the moment, you just black out for 5-10 seconds, and then the damage is done. And then, when you come to, you're like, oh shit, I am who I am, right? So
it's also easier to kill a human than you think it is too, right?
That's just it.
Freaky things can happen when you don't intend to kill somebody, they die, and you might not be guilty of a murder, but you're at least guilty of a manslaughter, and you're going to jail, right? Like the consent fight situation is one that comes up from time to time as well, right? You duke it out with somebody, you hit them in an odd way, and their neck snaps, or they fall backwards, and they hit their head on a curb, their neck snaps, and they die.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a murder, that's a manslaughter, but you're in a lot of shit.
Yeah.
A lot of shit. You didn't mean for that to happen. There's certain frailties to the human body that you can't account for. Or somebody that you duke it out with who might have a certain frailty that you're not aware of. Maybe they're not even aware of, and they die, right? It's terrifying. And it's another reason why people should try to avoid getting in fights at all. But it's not hard to end a human life. It's terrifyingly easy.
Yeah. It's definitely, like I said, happening more often than not. So anyways, we'll wrap up this episode here. Sorry we're not on here on a weekly basis, but when we finally get together, we talk about whatever comes out of our mouth. Nothing's really planned. Who knows what we'll talk about next. We're waiting for a friend of ours to come. Perhaps he'll be on the next episode. Our good friend Matt Tweedy. He's a cook at a correctional institution. He always has some interesting comments. Matt Tweedy had a very infectious laugh as well. So you're listening to Drop the Gloves this week. Again, my co-host JC Easton and myself, Scotty Lalonde. We were talking about motive, I guess. Why criminals do what they do. Why do we get angry? It's like that Amanda Marshall song, Jay. Everybody's got a story to tell. It's so true, right? So, yeah. Anyway, so there you go. We will chat again next time on Drop the Gloves here, live from the cave.
You've been listening to Drop the Gloves with Jason Easton and Scotty Lalonde, live from the cave. Thanks for listening.